All right, let's dive right into this explainer because today we are absolutely shattering the illusion that opportunity is just about getting lucky. We're unpacking a really incredible concept from the source material called the architecture of certainty. And the core idea here, well, it's kind of mind-blowing. It shows how your words don't just, passively describe the world you live in, they literally and actively construct your reality. We're going to break down the exact real-world mechanics of how whatever comes out of your mouth dictates exactly what you end up experiencing. So if you've ever felt like you're just sitting in the passenger seat of your own life, well, this is your blueprint for taking the wheel back. So, I want you to be completely honest with yourself for a quick second here. Are you waiting for a lucky break? Because if you're just hanging around waiting for the stars to perfectly align or for some mysterious outside force to hand you an opportunity on a silver platter, the source material is actually brutally clear about this. You're going to be waiting your entire life. It is so incredibly easy to fall into that trap, right? Thinking, oh, someday my ship will come in. But we really have to confront that passive approach head on. You are not just some passive observer sitting in the back row of your own life's movie. In fact, the source lays down this massive foundation of rule. Opportunity does not float around waiting. It is manufactured, summoned, and captured by those who command their thoughts and discipline their words. I mean, just think about the sheer weight of that statement for a moment. It completely establishes that you are the writer, the director, and the lead actor of your own success story. Your thoughts are driving the narrative, and your words? They're loudly broadcasting the plot to the rest of the world. Simply put, if you don't like the script you're living right now, you are literally the only person holding the pen to rewrite it. And because of that, we really need to completely overhaul how we think about communication. Words are a steering wheel, guys. They are not a decoration. Every single time you open your mouth, you're making a hard declaration to the universe about exactly who you are and what you expect to happen. Words have immense gravity. They pull realities right into your orbit. Think about the last time you, say, spilled your coffee in the morning or hit awful traffic. Did you instantly mutter, "Ugh, of course, this always happens to me," or, "Well, my whole day's ruined"? See, those are lazy words. And when you use weak, lazy language, you aren't just blowing off steam. You are literally issuing direct commands for failure. Now, the hidden engine driving all of this is your subconscious mind. And you really have to start imagining it as this highly literal, completely uncritical machine that is constantly eavesdropping on your lips. Here's the crazy secret about it. Your subconscious has absolutely zero sense of humor. None. It doesn't get sarcasm. It doesn't know when you're just kidding around about being broke or always being tired. It takes your repeated phrases as unyielding absolute law. And then, it diligently goes right to work building whatever blueprint you just handed it. So listen to the blueprints most people are handing over to that machine every single day. Things like, I can't. Oh, it's way too hard. I literally never catch a break. I always mess things up. When you walk around constantly announcing phrases like that, you are actively feeding your mind perfectly detailed blueprints for limitation and scarcity. It's this tragic, endless cycle of self-sabotage. And honestly, the ultimate irony here is that people will turn around and angrily curse the world for building the exact same mediocre reality that they themselves designed and ordered through their daily complaints. Let's look at how this creates a really distinct rhythm in our lives. We're going to contrast the weak language of the masses, what we call the language of the defeated, with the sharp, decisive commands used by the top 1%, the language of the ascending. The source text really hammers this home. Upgrading your vocabulary isn't just some cute communication trick. It is literally the first act of creation. Changing how you speak is step number one if you actually want to change what you achieve. So, the first crucial shift happens when we contrast I hope with I expect. You've got to completely drop hesitant hope. The universe does not respond to, well, gee, I hope this works out. Hope is entirely passive, right? It implies you've got zero control over the outcome. Instead, you have to command your mind with expectation. The text points out that when you actually train yourself to speak with total certainty, your mind shifts into high gear. It actively starts hunting for evidence and looking for opportunities to make those declarations real, way before you have any physical proof right in front of you. Notice the rhythm we're building here, especially when we contrast wishing with willing. Saying I wish basically implies that you are completely powerless. It's like you're standing around hoping some magic genie pops out of a lamp to do you a solid. I will, on the other hand, that is a massive, powerful declaration of intent. The authors are absolutely crystal clear on this. If you aren't actively speaking what you do want, you are automatically surrendering to what you don't want. You can't just leave a vacuum in your life. You gotta fill it with your own will. Now, imagine the sheer power of trading the phrase, I'll try, for I am built for this. When you say, I'll try, you're literally giving yourself a built-in, super comfortable excuse to fail before the race even starts. It softens the blow if you lose, right? But when you make declarations of absolute, rock-solid resolve, you create this environment of inevitability. Opportunity isn't just something you stumble upon, it is magnetically drawn to people who talk and act like leaders long before the rest of the world actually steps up to give them the crown. Now, this brings us to a really profound difference that trips up so many well-meaning people, and that's the gap between arrogance and certainty. Look, you should never be afraid of sounding bold. Arrogance is empty, it's loud, and it's usually just masking deep insecurity. But certainty? Certainty is earned. It's earned through the relentless, quiet discipline of your mind and your words. Life just naturally and organically organizes itself around leaders who possess that inner certainty rather than doubters who spend all their time apologizing for even having ambition in the first place. All right, so how do we practically hack this biological machine? Well, here is the master blueprint right from the source to reprogram your mind daily. First up, you've got to audit your speech with absolute military precision. You have to catch yourself before those weak words even leave your tongue. Second, completely silence limiting beliefs and complaints. Just flat out refuse to complain, even to yourself in the total privacy of your own head. And third, speak your goals as facts in motion. You literally have to flood your mind with the language of expansion and ruthlessly cut out any vocabulary of weakness. Actually, let's just pause for a second here. Really let the gravity of this next idea sink in. You do not rise above your environment, you rise to the level of your standards. Maintaining this new vocabulary requires you to audit your inner circle just as strictly as you audit your inner thoughts. If you're spending all your time and energy around people who constantly blame, moan, and whine about how unfair everything is, you will eventually inherit their exact problems as your own identity. It is highly contagious. You have to fiercely guard your conversations from the language of the defeated. And to maintain those incredibly high standards, you need a highly specific chronological routine. Think of it like daily hygiene, but for your mind. In the morning, your brain is essentially soft clay. You have to shape it with intent before you even think about checking your phone or reading an email. By noon, the stress of the day is usually hitting hard, so you have to actively fight off the world's infection of doubt and fear. And finally, by nightfall, you've got to wash your mind all over again in the language of strength to set your subconscious to work overnight. Because consistency and repetition, those are the absolute laws of growth. But here's the catch. Just saying dry, robotic words out loud isn't quite enough to make the shift happen. The source introduces this concept called the law of emotional resonance. Basically, you have to actively inject emotional voltage into your declarations. You have to genuinely feel that surge of pride, that deeply rooted energy of your purpose. Emotion is the accelerant. It's the roaring fire that makes your thoughts and your words burn so brightly and so hot that reality simply cannot ignore them anymore. Doing this requires the daily practice of radical self-affirmation. Seriously, try adopting these specific, hard-hitting statements as your new default settings. I expect to win. I expect doors to open. I expect resources and allies to show up. I am a magnet for opportunity. That right there is exactly how you align your subconscious with the reality you're trying to build. You are actively training your thoughts to truly believe, and in the process, you're turning your tongue into a finely tuned instrument of destiny. Now, shifting gears just a little bit, we absolutely have to look at the strategic and honestly, often totally overlooked role of gratitude. But we're not just talking about being polite and saying thank you. Gratitude is a magnetic command. The text brilliantly explains that vocalizing your appreciation for any progress, no matter how incredibly tiny or incremental it might seem, literally turns the key in the lock of abundance. A grateful mind basically signals to life that you are ready and fully capable of handling more, whereas a complaining mind pretty much ensures you stay permanently stuck in scarcity. So, let this visceral final reminder just lock into your brain right now. The world does not move for the silent or the apologetic. It moves for the determined, the loud, and the unashamed. Think about that. The universe does not reward silence, and it absolutely does not reward false humility. Do not ever dilute your language or shrink your ambitions just to make other people feel comfortable around you. The universe responds only to the brave, the bold, and the explicit. Which brings us right to this final, highly provocative question. What reality will you speak into existence today? Seriously, the time for hesitation is completely over. We have to stop waiting for magical signs from the universe. Stop waiting for that perfect, frictionless moment because it's never coming. You need to take the steering wheel, audit your words with brutal precision, and start declaring your destiny immediately. As we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Go out there today and fiercely speak your greatness right into the world.